the numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
Please go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking Podcast. I'm your co-host, Bob Zerl. With me in Deadbug Studios is
Coach Nez.
Visit us at zpnetwork.com. We're on Facebook at the Nothing Shocking Podcast community fan page and the Quad Cities Rock and Roll Junkies interest group. Our Twitter handle is NoShockPod. We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher. Subscribe, rate, and review the show. Helps us move up the charts. And we're back. It's been a long time.
2 months.
2 months. I gave your name, didn't I? Normally I'd give it to you. That's how long it's been. I just ran right through that intro. I didn't even...
I said Coach Nez.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So used to just going. But, yeah, it's been... Well, we always take the holidays off.
Always.
My job just decided to kill me, and then the weather hit, and then Eric got sick while the weather hit, and the weather hit again. It's hitting right now. We just decided to muscle through it.
And I got sick again.
Right.
So this has been the worst winter. I think this is the worst winter on record for our area, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
For cold and accumulation and snow, whatever. So.
Oh yeah, it's been, and I'm sure a lot of you, I think a lot of America's gone through something.
Sure.
Bad right now. So, but we are back, and we're gonna stay back. That's the plan. We have 4 episodes in the can, ready to go. So. That's a solid month worth of podcasts.
And, we apologize to our artists that we have pre-recorded these episodes that were 2 months old. So
yeah, the guest this week is Vinnie Stigma from Agnostic Front, and I'm pretty sure the tour that we talk about is over.
It's been long over, yeah.
Long over, but it was still a great interview. Agnostic Front's a pretty legendary band, and it was cool to get him on the show. I wish we could have got this out sooner, but things just... I don't know. It's been a rough 2.5 months.
Life happens, doesn't it?
But we are back, and we're going to do the Chicago Open Air Festival again. Or at least we're hoping to. That is May 18th and 19th in Bridgeview, Illinois, at the SeatGeek Stadium.
That's what they're calling it now.
Yeah, it was a Toyota. What's the difference? I mean, SeatGeek, Toyota. I mean, Toyota's bigger, I guess, but
SeatGeek
neither pays us. So
right.
I do have the SeatGeek app though. I don't use it. But the Chicago Open Air Festival, I went 2 years ago. Kiss, Rob Zombie, Korn, Ozzy. It was a really fun time for me. This year, System of a Down and Tool. 2 bands that just kind of tour.
Yeah.
Tool may have an album coming out. We don't know. Maynard just tweeted that it's not coming out anytime soon. But you don't seem interested in either band.
You can't like everything, right?
Right.
And, with the Tool thing with Maynard is that it's so nonchalant. Like, you'll get our album when we feel like putting our album out. It's just...
I love that. It's just... Because I'm a really big Tool fan. I mean, there's 2 bands that I like a lot. Pearl Jam and Tool, where I feel like their fans are kind of annoying. Yeah. But I like the bands, and I kind of get a kick out of him handling it so nonchalant, and I think it's funny. Tool's a very comedic band that you just would never know based on the sound, and but that kind of makes me laugh. And then System of a Down, I mean, they're just I've loved them since day one. I know not a lot of I guess a lot of people do. They're headlining a big festival.
Sure.
But to me, it's a really cool lineup. You got Ghost on the lineup. I love Ghost.
Yep.
Gojira. I love Gojira. In This Moment, I'm a big fan of In This Moment. I actually saw In This Moment while we were on hiatus. Meshuggah, Beartooth, Code Orange. Code Orange is kind of the new, was it Dillinger playing where they're like a really great live band. Black Dahlia Murder. We're hoping to have a lot of these bands on the podcast in the coming months. And if you want to, I mean, tickets are on sale now. Some of it's already sold out. I'm trying to think of the field passes. Some of them are sold out. I got a bad General Admission A. Lower level VIPs are sold out. So, I mean, their tickets are going. The Prodigy's there.
There you go.
So I'm really looking forward to this. Like I said, May 18th, May 19th. We're going to hopefully cover as much of the show as possible, and you'll be hearing about it. We'll probably pull out bands here and there and talk about them in our intros in the future. But, yeah, I had a great time last time, and I don't know. Tool and System of a Down are two of my favorite bands, so I'm really excited about this one.
Yeah, cool.
Anything else you wanted to talk about before we...
I got a turntable for Christmas.
Really?
You're Victrola.
Moving past the CDs.
Well, no, never moved past those. But it's a turntable, AM/FM, Bluetooth, CD player, cassette player, all in one.
Nice.
How cool is that?
My last one had a cassette player in it, but it broke. So now I'm cassette player-less with a bunch of cassettes.
I don't know if I also told you that maybe I did. I'm going to go see the Misfits in April.
Yeah.
Did I say that on the last podcast or whatever?
You've mentioned it.
Yeah.
Whether it was on the podcast or just to me, I don't know.
I don't remember either. So, yeah, going to go see the Misfits in April. That's a bucket list thing for me. So, yeah, I mean, I don't have too much good news except for we've just had a really terrible winter.
Yeah, I'm going to see Paul McCartney.
Cool.
Later this year. I just went and saw, like I said, Hailstorm in This Moment and New Year's Day. That was a fun show. Oddly enough, we went to a local hockey game, and between the periods they show what's coming to the arena,
right?
And Kiss pops up, and I wasn't planning on going to see Kiss. My son though, because I want to see them,
of course.
So I haven't bought tickets yet, but I may take him to see Kiss on their farewell.
Well, last time they were here, we talked about it on the podcast, and the set list was very predictable.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they throw a couple in there, like, oh well. Okay, but it's very predictable. Underwhelming because you see Kiss so much on the television performing that what's coming. It's just
right.
So I don't know with them bringing other members back to play
They're
here.
Not bringing anybody back.
I thought that was going to be a thing.
Open invitation, but they have to play as guests. So Ace and Peter basically said no. Oh. So, I mean, and for someone like me, like Ace is my favorite member of the band, so when him not being there is... I mean, Kiss is Kiss. They're so big. They're too big to fail, I guess. They're fun. It's a fun show, but someone like us who's been to so many shows and we see Kiss everywhere, the mystique's a little lost on us, I think. But it won't be for my son, so that would be the only reason I'd go if he really wants to see it, so... We're still debating on how that's...
Maybe that's what parents need to do, take their young ones to go see Kiss to rejuvenate rock and roll into their... Because Kiss... My dad would play the Beatles and the Guess Who and things like that. I loved it as a kid. But seeing Kiss on TV, that's what really sucked me in, back when I was 6, 7 years old or whatever.
Well, yeah, and he still talks about the Alice Cooper show he saw, but all he wants to listen to is the Greatest Showman soundtrack, so I don't know.
Well, he's young.
Yeah, but that's the problem. But if it's not that, it's the Immigrant Song, although he refers to it as the Thor song. So,
fair enough. I can see that.
Thank you, Marvel, for at least bringing some rock songs back. All right, anything else, or do we need to get to our interview?
No, I think I need to go home, go to bed.
All right, here, enjoy Vinnie Stigma of Agnostic Front.
Good night. Hey, Vinny, are you there?
Eric, how are you?
Doing good. Hey, I want to introduce you to my co-host, Bob Zerl.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Well, hey, Mike has been fantastic helping me coordinate this, and we're so happy to have you. Thanks for agreeing to do this. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. No problem.
Absolutely. Well, I guess the first question I kind of want to start off with you is, I know you recently returned from a stint touring on the West Coast. How long was the stint? How long were you guys on the road, and how did it go?
Well, just recently we came off the road. We played the amphitheater in L.A. over there. It was really cool. Had a rolling bar on the stage. Everybody was having a good time. We played with Ignite, the Dead by Stereo. But it was kind of like a fest, because it was like kind of like open outdoor.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very cool.
Are you into the... Oh, did we lose you a little bit? Hello?
Sorry?
I think we lost you there for a second. Sorry about that.
Well, anyway, it was in this little amphitheater. We played with Ignite and Dead by Stereo. It was a pretty cool thing. We had a rolling bar on stage. Only in Cali we had that. It was really nice backstage. It was really cool.
Very cool.
We played Seattle. We did up and down the coast there. And that was 2 weeks ago. And this last Saturday, we were in Chicago. We had a one-up in Chicago. And now I'm home. And on the 30th, I leave for Europe.
Very cool.
What is that overseas market compared to the American market? And with a band like you, is it kind of the same across the board, or is it a different crowd?
Well, over there, I do a lot of festivals in the summer. So that's cool. Like, a lot of people are there, like sometimes 40,000, sometimes 80,000, mm-hmm. And then sometimes, I'll and in the winter I do the venues, you know what I mean? They could be like 400-800 a night, somewhere in there. But I always say, that's 400-800 more, Really,
here's the question.
I mean, sometimes we play shows in America and I get like 200 people. You know what I mean? That's how it goes. Like, it could be a Tuesday night and somewhere in Ohio or something,
Yeah, absolutely. I guess maybe the next kind of question this would lead into is that Agnostic Front, being the hardcore punk band that you are, the stranglehold on the East Coast that you have, that's your origins. How do you compare your audience from your East Coast audience to your West Coast audience?
Well, the West Coast it's like a little more chill, laid back. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the audience, I find that it's split, because there's kind of like the lollipop type punk, and there's the hardcore. But today the kids have a little more metal in them, so they go for that hard edge or a crossover edge. I noticed, but all around the world, worldwide, it's the New York hardcore sound that the kids dig. For some reason.
You mentioned the festivals over in Europe. They're starting to pop up here in America. Do you think that it's going to take on like it did in Europe and last, or do you think it's going to kind of fizzle out?
Well, that's up the promoters, because you have like a lot of big time promotions that put on things, and they mingle hip hop and they mingle pop culture. So is it going to be a true fest or a punk festival like they do, like sometimes in the UK, which is pretty cool, It's to who knows what would happen with that,
I guess.
I mean, they have underground like Oi Fest and like Punk Fest, but as far as the big like Lollapalooza, let's say,
right.
You need big bands, like you would need a Motorhead to headline, like Undercurrents, like Agnostic Front, and let's say the Typo Negative, whatever, or Dogs. You need like a tough undercard.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I guess that would probably lead to the next question is, Agnostic Front has been known for the live experience in the show. Intensity, sometimes a little on the violent side, and it's always fun. at this part of your career, how do you, as an artist, as you're aging in this business, how do you keep that energy that you guys had back in the '80s? What is it? What is the secret?
Well, first of all, I believe in what I do. Second of all, I'm in pretty good shape. I'm in it. I'm in it to work. I play with Agnostic Front. I got my side band, Stigma, with Mike. I got the New York Hardcore Tattoo Shop. I'm always involved with the Black and Blue Radio. Involved with this subculture and hardcore. And even Roger just got written his book, My Riot, and he's got the Car Club, the Rumble Car Club, and he plays in the Alligators and a couple other hardcore bands. So we were always like somewhat involved, and I was good friends. I'm still good friends with Roger. I mean, 7 years later,
Mm-hmm.
Politics. Thank God we sing through it. We
I think we lost you again a little bit. Are you kind of like moving around as you're talking?
Sorry?
We kind of lost you again. Are you kind of like moving around? Are you like walking around as you're kind of talking to us?
I'll get near my window.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, like we're really involved with it. Like where we picked up with, where I'm involved with it, like with Agnostic Front or Stigma or New York Hardcore Tattoos, or I'm involved with the radio station. And Roger's also involved, like because he's got his book out, My Riot, and he plays in the Alligators. He's got the Rumble Car Clubs. So we're involved with all these subcultures, and I guess I'm lucky to have a guy like Roger to be a good friend to me all these years. That like there was never anything about money or religion or politics that could come between us. Like, it's just a brotherhood that we have in Agnostic Front, even with Mike, I mean, Mike looks at me like a father figure, I'm just a few years younger than his father, and, I come to the thing where I'm a little older now. I'm a senior citizen. I'm 63, and I have a responsibility. I feel like to set a good message. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there'll be some young kid out there to take it one day, to the next level.
When you look back at, the New York hardcore punk scene, were you guys, when you're going in, are you thinking, I want to be this, or are you just kind of doing whatever you want to do and then it gets labeled something later on down the line?
I don't know. I just do what I feel like doing, I guess, Sometimes acting like really stupid, it catches on. I don't know. It's just the way you play the guitar, maybe a little different. Or, you just do it. You just do it because you love doing it. It really doesn't matter. Come one, come all, You come correct, that's all that matters.
Well, I've asked this question to numerous guests, and everybody has kind of like a different take on it. But Agnostic Front has, and yourself and Roger have been duly noted as big influencers on hardcore punk and in thrash metal and different genres of punk and metal itself. When you have the younger artists that say, man, if it wasn't for Agnostic Front or Vinnie Stigma or Roger, I wouldn't be doing this. How do you compute that when people mention you and Agnostic Front as being, hey, if it wasn't for this band, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now?
It's a great honor for me to, that's why I feel I have that responsibility. It's funny to see a kid play your song or sing words to your song that you've written before he was born, so that transcends, that's iconic in a way, to see someone singing your song that they weren't even born when you written this song, and the movement, I was very involved with the movement, you put a little work into it, you believe in it, and and like years later, you see, the benefits from it, or like what you created.
Absolutely. I guess that will kind of go into the next question is that, The American Dream Died was the last album you guys had released in 2015. As far as recording a new album as it being a tangible product for consumers and your fans and for people to listen to, when are we going to see or hear from you guys again as far as new material go?
Okay, we're doing this tour in Europe. We're doing really southern France. We're going south instead of north, Portugal and like lower Spain and Italy and some dates in Germany. But we have about 14 songs written, and we're waiting to get this tour, to do this tour, and then the holidays, and then get back in the studio. And then, like with all the material I got, all these riffs I got, on tape or whatever, we're going to have to assess them and put it together. But we do have a lot of material.
Fantastic.
And it's a collective amount. I think it's a good. I want to pace it just right. Is the whole thing too. I want the album to pace the right pace.
So how do you and Roger work together on the songwriting? Is there are you able to constructively criticize each other, or is it pretty?
No, we basically we do a lot of the writing, and with Mike and Craig in the studio here in New York. We get the basic ideas. Let's say the basic song down. We shoot it out to Roger. He throws lyrics over it. Sometimes he sends it back. Sometimes Freddie even lends a hand sometimes, and because he got a good flow, Freddie, and then we go back and the song. Then we go to a demo. I'm king of the demos. I make a demo. By the time I'm walking out, I got to go back in and remake it because the song changes that fast sometimes. So you demo, you sit on it, you let it mature. You rehearse it, you demo it, and then you record it, that's it, once you record it. Now, I think when I record a record now, how is it going to sound 5 years later? Now, if I listen to, let's say, a Biohazard song today, how would it sound today? Or if I listen to a Agnostic Front song 5 years from now, how will it sound? So I try to be ahead of the curve in a way, but I don't want to stray from what I feel or what I'm trying to do. But I still want to be relevant. Is the main thing. You got to be relevant, I think.
Have you ever felt handcuffed by your success and your sound? Having to create a certain. What'd you say? Sorry.
I don't care. No, you just got to go up there and do it and have fun. You know what I mean? I see these guys sometimes. They get a little older. They get a little. I get it. I'm older than you, and I gotta talk these guys down. That's it. I had it. I'm done. They don't do it. I tell them. You know what I mean? You do it or you don't do it. Me, I'm gonna do it. I got no. This is what I do. It's too late for me to turn back.
Well, I guess here, you kind of answered my next question, but have you ever felt, Agnostic Front has released some iconic punk albums, hardcore punk albums, Victim in Pain and Liberty and Justice 4, were monumental. I mean, have you ever felt the pressure of having to kind of replicate that or kind of do it again? The mentality when releasing albums to that magnitude with what I guess maybe the effect they had.
Well, it's a good bar to reach. I go there. But to me, Victim in Pain was the most natural mistake I ever made. It's out of tune. The timing's off. The tempo's off. But it's not the timing. It's the tempo. It's the feel. You know what I mean? It's a moment in time. It's like a photograph. You catch a kid flying in the air. You know what I mean? It's just that moment that you catch. And the equipment in the studios are different today than than years ago. Years ago, we used to use the cheap guitars, the cheap amps, and it brought that sound. You know, today I use professional equipment. It has a better sound, but you're not going to catch that sound like you did in 1982 because the equipment is different. The studio is different, you know. So when you can get it, bottle it up, you know.
Absolutely. You know, I guess, you know, Agnostic Front hasn't been shy when it has come to, you know, crossing over from hardcore to thrash metal. You know, in writing different albums, I guess, you know, when you guys go into the studio, I mean, has it been a concerted effort for you guys to go, okay, all right, are we going to create a hardcore punk album? Are we going to make a thrash album? Or does this stuff just kind of come organically to you and the rest of the band?
Well, I go in with the mindset of hardcore punk, you know, and then whatever influences, you know, like maybe a little metal influence here or there, or a groovy part, you know, you want to slip some rhythms in there, or some, you know, sometimes they got that ear candy thing, whatever, you know, all right, I could do that. But I basically go in there with the mindset of a hardcore punk record and basically try to say something. Don't want to preach, but, you know, because the world changes, and I'm not going there. I'm just here for us. I'm here for the kids, for our family, for our movement. You know, look what happened in the park the other day with Jimmy, Jimmy G from Murphy's Law. Like the whole hardcore community came together. I mean, it was on the news and everything. You know, Roger Clark put it on the news. He's a friend of ours. He's an anchor on New York One, you know, and a field reporter. And he's our friend. He plays drums in a hardcore band. You know what I mean? We're everywhere. Hardcore guys and gals are doctors and lawyers and producers and, you know, electricians. I mean, you know, like we're sometimes I saw a chef the other day, Chef Toe. He has a restaurant in L.A. called, Crossroads? And I wound up in South America with this guy. And I said, you know, I made friends with him. I said, you know, you don't look like a hardcore guy to me. He says, yeah. He pulls up his shirt, and he's got a Agnostic Front tattoo. I says, I stand corrected. He's a big-time chef. Like, I just he put out a dinner for me when I was in L.A. just the other day. Oh. So, you know, it like conquers all corners of the globe, especially the New York hardcore. They love New York hardcore in Japan, in Europe. That's the hardcore they like. They like the New York hardcore for some reason. You know what I mean? It's got the style, the groove, the sound. It's melodic enough. It's tough enough. You know, it's fast enough so they can catch with it, you know, and they make the jump on that. You know, once they make the jump, that's it.
That's one of the things that I feel like is missing with music today is that the bands are more chasing the popularity and not really looking for that niche, for lack of a better word, I guess. You know, I look at a band like you guys or some of the other bands you've mentioned, and they have that diehard fan base. And you look at, you got your Guns N' Roses or Metallica, and they got tons of casual fans, but that diehard fan base that is in a scene like what you guys have is almost more rewarding in a way than, you know, the stadium tours or whatnot. I mean, would you agree?
Somewhat. Because they have such a general audience, some people will wash out. But they're a great band, and they got that audience. They're going to have a core audience forever, a band like that.
Well, right.
But as far as, like, smaller metal bands, I don't know, maybe a White Stripe or something to that effect. I don't want to mention names, but, like a small, not a Metallica, you know, but a small band, maybe it would be hard to hold on to a fan base, you know. But a hardcore thing, it's more talk of reality, more of social injustice as compared to like a highway and girls and partying, you know, and like stupid stuff, you know. You know what I mean. Oh, you know, they're kind of adolescent in a way, you know.
Oh, definitely. I understand completely. When you're writing, do you write just for what you're the moment, or like do you think this is better for Stigma or this is better for Agnostic Front?
Well, a lot of times when we do write songs, we say, "Oh, it sounds like we're better off with Stigma," like because it's a little more smoother. My other band, it's a little more rock and rolly. It's a little more, street punk in a way, I guess. But influences cross over, and we try to stay on track. Try to keep it real. Stay on track and like play it correct the way we want to play it. Like I said, I want to hear this record 5 years from now and 6-8 years from now and know like that it's still relevant in a way.
How important is it for something like Stigma to exist so you can, scratch that other itch or other influence that you have?
I'm sorry, can you say it again?
How important is it to have, your side project like Stigma so you can venture out into other, the more rock and roll side of things and other influences that you have and actually satisfy those?
Well, I tell you, it was a fun thing. I started my band. I never did a side band for like at least 25 years after I was in Agnostic Front, 27 years. So I said, let me go have a little fun. I didn't want to play the guitar. I wanted to sing because I think, to be honest with you, I think I'm better singing than a fucking guitar player. I enjoy it. I enjoy like mingling in with the audience and yelling at the band in front of everybody, like having fun, like teasing the audience and teasing the band. And the songs that I liked, Phil Gavano from Monster Magnet helped me, write some of the songs. He was my producer. We had Lars Fredrickson from Rancid write some of the songs. Mikey wrote a bunch. I wrote a couple. We had a lot of people. We had guys from studio musicians from Monster Magnet. I was going to have Johnny Two Bags from Social Distortion. All these guys wanted to like be in. It's like my side project, but very solo. You know what I mean? It's very different. I didn't want to do another hardcore. I did a couple of hardcore songs on there just to keep it hardcore because, I just had to. And they were like kind of fun and punky. It was just a fun thing to do.
Well, very cool. I guess I want to take this to like maybe a little bit of a different direction. And, we've had many guests from the New York City area that reflect on the rock scene in New York comparison. It's a lot of them say it's a dying scene in comparison to obviously where it was. I guess where are your feelings on the rock scene in New York City? Do you ever see a renaissance from where it was back in the 70s and 80s heyday to where it is right now?
Okay. Great question. We need more clubs. Bottom line. We need more. And I want to give a shout out to Jesse Malin because he helps out so much in hardcore. He does a lot of things like Cousin Joe with the radio station and Drew Stone with helping out with the films and these guys. They really help. And we need more clubs. Is the bottom line because if we can't congregate at our so-called church, what I mean? We'll be nomads, so we need more clubs. And that's the only thing. If we had more clubs, the scene would be a lot, if we could get the old Ritz back and get a couple of clubs going on, bottom line is we need more clubs.
I guess is
after CBGBs that was the death of me. CBGBs,
Right. I guess maybe the thing is we've kind of discussed this before as far as scenes go. You were obviously blessed to have been part. You were in the New York hardcore heyday, the scene. What is it going to take for an area in whatever part of the United States to have a thriving scene again? Because we don't have it in the hardcore. Doesn't have it in New York City like they did. The LA Strip doesn't have it for rock and roll in the West Coast. What's it going to take for a new scene to pop up again somewhere?
Okay, it comes and goes a lot of times. It comes in waves. I've seen this before, it happens. But like I said, you need the clubs. It's the clubs. It's all about the clubs and all about the promoters. We need all the guys and gals who write fanzines, put out radio shows, podcasts, or whatever the hell they are, you know? We need more people involved. You know what I mean? But the club, we need the clubs is the whole thing. And I tell you, the LA shows were great. You know, because they got clubs.
Right.
You know, so that's a big thing. But a renaissance, yeah, maybe there will be another, a renaissance, which I hope. But it'll always be underground, and it'll always be something. It'll always be a subculture.
Absolutely.
Is part of the problem in America that we just don't go out and show up? I mean, it seems like that's where the clubs aren't there is because they couldn't financially stay around. And I know around here we have that same problem where people just don't show up to things. Is that part of the problem in America?
Well, you know what it is all with the tweet. And like when it comes to being famous with the band, back to that question or something to that effect. Wait, excuse me, I'll be right back. I'll call you later. I'm going to go tweet myself to fame, then I'll call you back. Okay, how's that?
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what it is today. It's like they watch a hardcore show online, stream it, instead of going there. All right, look, if you live in Australia, it's one thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you're watching a New York show, but if you live in Jersey, go to the show or Long Island. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to support the local hardcore scene. You got to, you know what I mean? You got to support your local clubs. And we need more promoters like that do things that help out,
Another thing that's missing is that mystery. Growing up, you had to get the magazines to know what was going on. You had to wait for the record to come out. You had the rare interviews that they did. Now everything's so almost disposable. You can get to anybody at any time, like you're saying with Twitter. Here's what I had for dinner today. In a way, it's cool, but on the other hand, the mystery is gone. Is it possible to even bring that back with the way social media is?
I don't think so. I'll be honest with you, because I have I have kids, and forget it. They're just hooked on the apple, the forbidden fruit, and I don't think so. I'll be honest with you. I think self-gratification. You want to take a picture, you want to look at it. We used to have to take a picture and wait a week before it came back. And then when a 1 hour photo came, that was like a big deal.
Right.
But I don't know, that self-gratification. It's just little too. There's the grit. I get it. There's cameras everywhere. There's a lot of regulations, political correctness. Everyone's watching you. You say one thing wrong, you're ostracized. You get mocked up. It's like, there's no more freedom of being a rebel, like kind of, for kids. Like when I was growing up, I used to turn the pump on when I was a kid. I used to smash windows of cars, abandoned cars, not regular cars. They were abandoned. I used to throw light bulbs, I throw bottles. You can't do that today.
Right.
Well, we're kind of running out of our allotted time here, but I wanted to ask you one more question. And the thing that's really cool about Agnostic Front is not only you're a great band, but you guys are a huge fan of music itself. And I always go to our local record store and I discuss music and albums with other patrons or the owners or whatever else. And yesterday I was in our local record store. We were talking some hardcore stuff. And I was discussing or debating what I felt as though probably one of the most underappreciated hardcore punk albums that I've ever heard. I don't know what your thoughts on what this was, but one of them I really felt as though that Underdog's Vanishing Point album was one of those hardcore albums that were kind of like looked over a little bit. I guess maybe what is your thought on all that before we let you go for the night?
I totally agree. But I think they should have followed up with another. I know Russ; he's a good friend of mine. Mm-hmm. And I love the band. But I I think they should have just stuck it out a little more and promoted the record more. Maybe it would have caught on. I mean, to more of a general audience, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Just I guess if you're in the same band for like 37, almost 40 years, like Willie Nelson. I'm on the road 40 years, like Willie Nelson. You go back, you make friends. They don't forget you,
Mm-hmm.
Or you make new friends. So you just got to get out there and keep it real. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep in shape. Keep doing it.
Absolutely. Well, I want to tell you that we appreciate your participation in the Nothing Shocking podcast. This is kind of how it works. We have about 4 episodes ahead of yours, so this one will probably be out in about 5 weeks or so. And then when it's ready for editing, Bob's our editing wizard. I'll send it to Mike, and then Mike can kind of share it with you. And then you guys, if you could, put it up on social media or wherever you possibly could. That'd be appreciated.
Sure, no problem. And what time? 4:30 on Thursday.
4:30 on Thursday for what? What is that?
Was that the Green Building or something like that?
I don't know. I just.
Oh, all right. Okay, that must be something else then I'm doing. Okay.
I believe so. But anyway,
right.
Before we let you go, is there anything else that you would like to plug or promote before we let you go for the evening?
Well, I just out there, any of them kids out there that are like playing the guitar or in bands, and sometimes you get a bum show, and I get it. Believe me, I've been there. I come from the old school basement hardcore. Just don't worry, you'll get there. You'll get that show. Just keep doing it. Believe in yourself, and hardcore lives. Just keep it real and be honest to yourself and have a good time doing it. That's the main thing too. Go out and make a fucking friend.
Well, Vinnie, thank you so much for your participation. And like I said, we'll have this out in about 5 weeks, and I'll send it to Mike as soon as Bob has it all edited.
All right, Eric. Thank you very much.
All right. Hey, thank you very much. Have a great night.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.